What happens when a prince loses his kingdom but keeps spending like he still owns it? The answer is unfolding right now in the most spectacular royal financial disaster we've witnessed in decades. Picture this: a former prince who once had access to millions, now reportedly hemorrhaging money at a rate that would make even the most reckless billionaire nervous. We're talking about someone who recently dropped a staggering £5 million on a single legal battle that's turning into his worst nightmare. And the woman by his side? She's maintaining a lifestyle that would make Marie Antoinette blush. This isn't another fluffy royal story about charity galas and ribbon cuttings. This is about cold, hard cash flowing out faster than it's coming in, and the desperate measures two people will take when their golden goose stops laying eggs. Let's start with the spending habits that have royal watchers doing double takes. We're looking at a California mansion that screams excess: 16 bathrooms for 2 people and their children. Think about that for a moment. 16. The maintenance costs alone would fund a small charity for a year. But that's just the beginning. The designer wardrobe bills read like telephone numbers. The jewelry collection keeps growing despite the couple's public complaints about financial struggles. Then there's the staff, a small army of people reportedly catering to their every whim 3 times a day. When you add it all up, the monthly expenses would make most lottery winners nervous. But here's where it gets really interesting. While one half of this partnership burns through money like it's going out of style, the other half is fighting legal battles with the desperation of someone who genuinely believes the world still owes them something. And according to royal biographer Angela Levin, who's been tracking this train wreck closely, the situation is far more dire than anyone imagined. The latest courtroom drama reads like a masterclass in how not to handle legal proceedings. Picture a man walking into court with the confidence of someone who still thinks his royal bloodline guarantees victory. That delusion, according to those watching closely, is exactly what's driving this entire mess. The judge in this case isn't just unimpressed, he's reportedly furious. Court documents reveal a pattern of inconsistencies, missing paperwork, and what can only be described as amateur-hour legal strategy. This isn't some noble quest for justice. It's messy, expensive, and potentially corrupt. Want to know how bad things have gotten? The court has now ordered full disclosure of any payments or deals made to people testifying in this case. We're talking about potential monthly payments of thousands of pounds to private investigators and other witnesses. When a judge starts demanding answers about who got paid what, you know the case has crossed from legal dispute into something much darker. The excuses aren't flying anymore either. The legal team's vague responses and unconvincing explanations have been publicly called out. If these allegations prove true, we're not just looking at financial losses, we're looking at a complete credibility collapse. Then there's the story that really shows how desperate things have become. Remember Doreen Lawrence? She's the mother who lost her son Stephen in a racially motivated attack years ago. The same newspaper now being sued once stood by her side, even risking their own legal troubles to support her fight for justice. But recent documents reveal it was the former prince himself who personally reached out to her, trying to convince her to join his lawsuit against the very publication that had championed her cause. That's not just questionable strategy, it's calculated manipulation. It paints a picture of someone willing to exploit tragic circumstances and twist long-standing loyalties, all in service of a personal vendetta against a newspaper he despises. Let's be honest about what's really driving this chaos. This isn't about seeking justice or healing old wounds. This is about money, pure and simple. When the royal allowances stopped flowing, the couple pivoted hard into media deals, tell-all interviews, and high-stakes lawsuits. They needed a financial win, and they needed it badly. But this particular gamble is backfiring spectacularly. Instead of generating sympathy and support, it's dragging them into territory that feels more like reality television than royal legacy. The desperation is showing, and it's not a good look. Even family relationships are reportedly suffering under the strain. According to sources close to the situation, even maternal support has its limits. When your own mother starts distancing herself from the constant drama and complaints, it sends a pretty clear message about how others are viewing the situation. The transformation from underdogs seeking freedom to what many now see as opportunists hunting for headlines and handouts has been swift and brutal. That protective bubble of public sympathy has burst, and what's left is a harsh spotlight on behavior that's increasingly difficult to defend. Back in the courtroom, the judge's patience is clearly wearing thin. The warnings are getting more direct: provide complete transparency about all payments and deals, or watch the entire case get thrown out. It's not just about legal embarrassment anymore, it's about potential exposure of deeper ethical issues that could open doors to even more legal scrutiny. The public image rehabilitation that was supposed to happen after leaving royal duties has gone in completely the opposite direction. The former golden boy of the royal family, once beloved for his military service and cheeky charm, now struggles to fill speaking venues. The media coverage has shifted from protective to critical, and his personal brand has become a cautionary tale rather than an inspiration. The desperation for positive press coverage is becoming more obvious by the day. When news broke about a potential reconciliation with the king, it felt less like genuine family healing and more like a transparent attempt to distract from the legal chaos unfolding behind closed doors. But the strategy backfired. The story that really grabbed headlines was about court demands for transparency regarding questionable payments to lawsuit supporters. Meanwhile, royal commentators and biographers aren't pulling their punches anymore. The consensus seems to be that this isn't a man fighting for principle, it's someone scrambling for financial lifelines. And when those lifelines potentially include manipulating vulnerable allies or making questionable payments to secure support, it becomes very hard to argue otherwise. The public's attitude has shifted dramatically too. The same people who once gave them the benefit of the doubt, seeing them as rebels challenging an outdated system, are now questioning everything. Sympathy fades quickly when luxury living and endless legal battles become your primary public identity. It's hard to maintain a victim narrative when you're living in a multi-million-dollar mansion. There's also a genuine fatigue setting in. Audiences are tired of the constant back and forth. The lawsuits, the documentaries, the interviews. People are asking a simple question: what positive contribution has this couple made lately? Beyond controversy and drama, what value are they actually providing? Even their major media partnerships are reportedly being reconsidered. The streaming platform that once bet big on their content is said to be having second thoughts. The numbers haven't materialized. The public interest has waned, and what remains is a trail of diminishing returns and mounting drama. The judge's tone in recent hearings has grown noticeably colder. Time is running out for concrete documentation about who received payments and why. If that evidence doesn't materialize, the entire case could collapse, and that wouldn't just be humiliating. It could expose the kind of deeper issues that invite even more legal scrutiny. And through it all, there's the constant presence of influence and spending that continues regardless of mounting legal fees and dwindling public support. The lifestyle built on status that's no longer officially held in money that's rapidly disappearing creates its own kind of pressure. Sources whisper about growing tension, though nothing has been officially confirmed. But when financial pressure meets public embarrassment and legal disasters, relationships inevitably feel the strain. What was once presented as a fairy tale romance is now looking more like a high-stakes gamble that's going badly wrong. The contrast with other royal family members couldn't be sharper. While this drama unfolds, other working royals continue their duties with quiet dignity. They show up, do the work, and build positive legacies without constant controversy. Their children are growing into their roles with grace, while this couple's story becomes increasingly chaotic. Even comparing to royals who married in from outside the system, the differences are striking. Others have managed to earn respect through discretion and dedicated service, avoiding the podcast circuits and interview rounds in favor of steady, meaningful work. That's the kind of royal behavior that actually builds lasting respect and influence. The toxic fan culture that's developed around the situation has become its own problem. Journalists trying to do their jobs find themselves harassed in public spaces by obsessed supporters. What should be normal professional criticism has become a culture war, with anyone daring to question the couple's decisions branded as enemies. The irony is impossible to miss: people claiming to fight against hate while spewing the most vicious attacks themselves. They defend a narrative that's wearing increasingly thin, that this couple are victims of an evil establishment. But when you look at the evidence objectively, family members distancing themselves, former allies going quiet, business partners having second thoughts, it doesn't look like persecution. It looks like natural consequences. The courtroom failures, the public relations disasters, the personal outbursts, they all point to a fundamental misunderstanding of how public life actually works. You can't take the fame and reject the responsibility. You can't cash in on victim narratives indefinitely without people eventually asking what you've actually accomplished. Fame without purpose has an expiration date. Titles without service become meaningless. And you can only write a sob story for so long before audiences start demanding substance over sympathy. As this legal and financial disaster continues to unfold, one thing becomes crystal clear: the fairy tale is over. What remains is a cautionary tale about what happens when privilege meets poor judgment, when spending exceeds earning, and when desperation drives decisions that create more problems than they solve. The only question now is how much further this fall will go, and whether anyone will still be paying attention when it finally hits bottom. Because right now, with courts demanding answers, money running out, and public patience exhausted, rock bottom might be closer than anyone imagines.